Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Scribes and Scrolls, the Candlekeep Mysteries. This is Book 4, A Deep and Creeping Darkness, Chapter 37, Mama Lamia. And we will, we'll see what that's all about here in just a few moments when we get into the game. First off, it is exciting to be back. We were off for a week while I was on vacation. Don't get me wrong, I greatly enjoyed my vacation, but I am so excited to be back around the virtual table with all of these amazing people. So let's do a couple of quick announcements, then we'll do the recap and get into the game. First up, let me tell you about a little something called domain tomes. If you look up above Jordan's head, you will see the domain tomes. Thanks to Smokebeard's resub, I owe you a domain tome. Boom, that's what they look like. Those are a way that you, the viewers, can have a little bit of an impact on the game. Simply by subscribing, resub, gifting subs, you can tip $5. You can cheer 500 bits. You can do a Ko-fi tip. All of those things contribute to the pool of domain tomes that the players have. They can use those to spend 1 to gain advantage on any dice roll. They can spend 3 to re-roll any dice roll, and they can spend 5 to make me re-roll. However, if you look up above, there are 5 limited edition domain tomes. That is the absolute maximum that I can have. They are a little bit more rare and therefore pricier at $20 a pop. But I have a full collection. I can use 1 for helping hands, which will give me advantage on a roll. I can use 3 of them. I forget what I called that and what I can do with those. I forgot what I can do.
They ran along the bottom as a scroll.
It does say at the bottom of the screen what I can do with them. And then 5 of them is counterspell, in which I can cancel out any reroll that the players do. They will not lose those tomes, but that roll will have to stand, but it will cost me all 5 of my tomes to do so. Let's see. Next thing that I want to mention is I made a thing. I published a thing called the Calendar of Harptos Adventure Journal. It is a 400-page complete calendar of Harptos, the D&D calendar, with lunar cycles, festival days, things like the equinoxes and solstices are marked in there. There's every 4 years, there's a shield meet festival that happens. We use this. I use the calendar as a DM because the lunar cycles are very important for story reasons when you have lycanthropes involved. But what's really cool is it's set up like a journal, so you can actually just click in the field and you can type in whatever your party did on that particular day. Super easy to do, and it is only $5, $4.99 on the DM's Guild. We are going to, right when we go to break today, give away a copy of that. So stick around for that raffle. Anybody that's in the chat can enter that and have a chance to win one of those adventure journals. Excuse me. I feel like there's some other stuff going on that I cannot remember because I'm just too excited to play. I'm just going to skip ahead to mental health. That's something that we take very seriously here, is the importance of mental health, recognizing that we all struggle with a variety of things, and it's okay to not be okay, but you do not need to struggle alone. It is it's just important to us that you have access to the help that you need. Therapy was the best thing that I ever did, and it was a struggle for me to figure out where to start. So what we've done is made it so that all you have to do is type !help in the chat. And a URL will pop up for findahelpline.com. Super easy website to use. Just type in your location wherever you are in the world, and a whole bunch of local help services will pop up. Please bookmark that for yourself, save it for a friend, and have it when you need it, because you matter. Your presence here on this earth makes a difference, whether or not you believe that. I do recognize, thank you to Jeremy, who's hanging out in the chat with us, who, as a player in Dawnbringers, recognizes my announcements. I did forget to mention our channel sponsors, Talon and Claw. So do check out Talon and Claw. They do have a Kickstarter going right now for their Adventures Vault, so check those out. Go to their Etsy shop. Use code MTDClaw on the Etsy shop and get 10% off of your order. And Smokebeard coming in hot with all kinds of support for y'all. There is another 5 tomes.
Wow,
thanks to that.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. I will make sure to put them in situations where they will need these tomes. Because I know that's what you're really paying for when you buy them domain tomes. You're paying for me to put them in positions to use those tomes. Without further ado, I think it's time to play some Dungeons and Dragons. So most recently, this party of adventurers they've taken on a job working with Manistrad Copperlocks, who is a representative of the Royal Mining Consortium. They have secured a book that is informing them about an abandoned platinum mine in the mountains. The book club is being tasked out to escort Manistrad and her survey team to the mining town, so they can perform survey work and validate the validity of the rumors and determine if the mine is actually a viable location. They have opted to meet up with Manistrad in Baldur's Gate at the harbor, because they got sidetracked taking care of a little personal business. And then when they got to Baldur's Gate, they got sidetracked by, as as Ricky had called them originally, and in my mind they will always be D&D donuts. From the market, they went to get some apple cakes and fay cakes and apple fritters. And then, of course, they had to stop by Heath's Hot and Cold Drinks to take advantage of their mug club perks. During that time, Tira wanted to check in on their old friends, the Amber Dunes, and was quite surprised to find that their stall was abandoned. Meanwhile, a mysterious figure tried to steal the cart right out from under the rest of them. And they all gave chase, and it wound up in this big brawl in the alley with some were-rats, one of them a big hulking beefy were-rat. But Tira had spotted Marliza, one of the Amber Dunes, who ran to get some help. And so in the midst of this fight, I believe one of you had just removed the hand of the big brute, had severed his hand. Suddenly some arrows rain down from above, and we are currently in an alley in this broad market on the Blackgate side of Baldur's Gate. Up on the roof and down on the sides are all of the members of the Amber Dune. Some of them are in their hybrid Jackaware form, and the rest of you are standing there, and you have these two were-rats, smaller were-rats. You have the one female were-rat who seems to sort of be the leader of this group, and then the big beefy dude. You've got them all surrounded. He's bleeding on the ground, holding this stump of his hand. as Marleza looks at you, Tira, and just says, I've got some reinforcements.
You sure as shit did. And I kind of like I'm looking around at the others, and I'm looking at Doc, and I'm looking at Vorn, who got his horse stolen originally, but Tira has also just joined this fight and doesn't kind of really know what happened. So she's just looking frantically around at her friends.
Oh, yes, and Doc, you got knocked unconscious.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
And
are we still in combat, or are we?
So
that's what I was wondering too.
So technically, I would say, I guess it's up to you. If you want to, you've got them surrounded, and the were rats are kind of looking around like they realize they're outnumbered, because what looks to be most of the Amberdune pack, if not all of them, it's hard to tell with them in their hybrid forms. There are 6 Amberdunes plus
Whoa.
the 5 of you.
That's right, jump down.
To these 4. So you've got them outnumbered 11 to 4. So it's your choice if you want to continue fighting, or what would you do, basically.
They have us outnumbered 11 to 4, you mean?
No, we have them.
No, the Amberdunes are assisting you.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
The Amberdunes are the jackal wares
Thank God.
that you met. Yeah.
So
Ricky's trying to start something here.
Is Doc?
I'm always trying to start something.
Did we stabilize Doc last round or last time, or no? So Doc is just down and out. So my first thing is going to be to go to Doc, whether that's in combat or not.
So you can do that. Nobody is taking hostile actions against you.
Okay. So I'm going to go to
ahead.
I'm going to go to Doc, and I'm just going to kneel down, and I'm going to reach into my satchel. I'm going to pull out one of these little glass bottles that I've been fumbling around with, and it's kind of glowing like a little iridescent glow purple vial, and I'm going to pour that as gently as I can into his mouth, and that's a Cure Wounds Artificer spell.
Ooh.
So that's going to be 8 points of healing for Doc.
Here's something.
Doc, what is it that is going through your mind in those moments where you're on the brink of death and suddenly this spell brings you back?
It's a good news, bad news situation for Doc. The good news is he comes back to life. The bad news is on the other side, there's nothing. It's just blackness. It's like a void.
All right.
Well, are you going to be okay, Doctor?
Oh, yes, most certainly. I've been here before. Wait, how did I get here?
Well, we got into something of a scrape, and, well, you had your ass handed to you. But we've all been there.
Wait, what? And he's going to hold up his hands, and then he's going to grab his ass, and he's going to be like, but how? It's still attached.
This actually brings a brief moment of laughter out of Mizya.
What? What does that
They
even
just
sound
kind of,
like?
Oh my
there's this
God.
dry cackling sound, and it's just one or two. And well, I forget what I said, Doctor. I'm glad you're okay.
It's difficult to forget something that I've heard. I seem to remember everything all the time, but I will try not to think about it, or at the very least, I won't mention it more than once a day.
That is an acceptable course of action now. let's get you back to your feet. And I'll stand up and like hold my hand out like I'm gonna help somehow.
Doc is going to take Mizya's hand, but is only going to hold it. He's going to fully use his own power to get up so he doesn't crack Mizya in half accidentally.
Snap them like a toothpick.
All right, so as Mizya has revived Doc, what are the rest of you doing?
Vorn is looking around, surveying the battlefield. First, looking at Tira. What does Tira look like?
Tira's still just kind of like looking around, and she almost kind of like, for a half a second, she almost looks like she's like looking for something.
Okay.
But then she's just sort of frantically looking around.
So Vorn takes a little bit of a more relaxed posture because Tira's not in berserker mode. So we're
Yep.
chill.
Tira's doing her deep breathing exercises.
Yeah, looking over
Mental
at
health
Assyria.
matters, everybody. Scribes and scrolls. Candlekeep mysteries.
What's Assyria doing as Vorn looks at her?
So Assyria is probably, her eyes are darting from I'm blanking on the name of the party we came to assist.
Sure.
As well as over towards Doc and to Mizya. Seeing Doc come up, you kind of see her shoulders kind of drop a little bit, but she has still got her bow and arrow pulled and ready to let loose. Kind of just similarly surveying the field.
Okay. Yeah. And so I hear it sounds like a cackle. And I look over at Mizya, I'm like, laughter. And then I look over and I see Doc, like he's holding two big coconuts in his hand, and then he's touching his butt and then going back and forth. And then I look at the 4 remaining bows, and my eyes flash a little bit of purple, a little purple glint, and I say, "You still got some fight in you, or you done?"
Ooh. What a stud.
The big brute that's holding the bloody stump where his hand was, he looks over at the woman where we're at, who she has that feral look about her. She keeps kind of making these movements like she's looking for somewhere to go, but she's also realizing that she is completely surrounded. I would gladly fight you to the death, but I'm not ready to die just yet.
And that's where you've already lost. A true warrior is always ready to die. Surrender then. Lay down your arms.
Tira feels feelings as Vorn takes charge.
The big. Go ahead.
Vorn, he's already laid down his hand. What else do you want him to do?
Doc.
That's
Arms
not what
means
lay
like-
down your arms means, Doc.
Weapons.
The rest of the jackal, the Amber Dunes, a couple of them kind of climb down from up on top of the building, and they move in closer, and they're either baring their teeth or they're wielding scimitars. And the other rats look to the woman, and she just gives a snarl and just says, "Do it." And any of them that are holding weapons, they were holding bows and short swords, and you just hear the clatter as their weapons hit the ground. Marliza says, "You should Secure them somehow if you can. Tie them up or manacles or something. We will take them to the warehouse.
Sounds good.
If we stay here too long, we will attract attention of the guards.
Sarah's gonna take a moment to kind of look around beyond the battlefield that we're essentially in, see if we have caught the attention of any of the guards or perhaps anybody else that might be deciding that they're enjoying the show.
Make a perception check or an investigation check.
Okay. Oh, welcome back. 23.
Hey,
So-
welcome back indeed.
As you look from out of the mouth of this alleyway, which is about 15 feet wide, you see that you're sort of on the northwestern corner of the wide. And so you see where there's the market stalls, and it's a pretty busy place on any given day. So there's lots of people moving around, but you sort of have this view looking out this mouth of this alley, and you see people a couple of people kind of give furtive glances into the alley and then quickly move past, like, this is not my business. But we see this view from you, Assyria, as you look, and passing through multiple groups, several layers deep, probably about 60 or more feet away in the market, you see a single figure wearing sort of smoky gray robes, and they have a hood pulled up. And you can just make out, sort of like from the nose down, the rest is shielded. There is a figure standing there watching. And as you clock them, a wagon rolls by, and when it goes by, they're gone.
Oh, oh shit! So cinematic, bro.
Yep. Alright, so I agree we should get out of here as quickly as possible. Do we have something we can restrain them with?
I pull out rope and I just push one down and start
Perfect.
tying him up immediately.
So
I just don't even second guess.
yeah, you all have rope, and if you have manacles, you can use those.
We do.
I don't know if anybody does have manacles.
I don't.
Nope, but we do have rope.
Do have rope.
Rope.
So the Ember Dunes, the couple of them that were in Jackaware form, you notice as they sort of look away for a moment, and then you just sort of hear this, and you hear the popping and cracking of bones, and you see their stature change a little bit as they turn back to their humanoid forms. And you see amongst this group, it's you see Avani, Inbar, Marliza, Rama, Theron, and Zan, all of whom you met, either seeing them or talking directly to them when you were here before. Noticeably absent from this group is Corvala.
Yeah.
But they assist you, and Marliza actually moves up to the woman were-rat as you sort of, Tira, you're kind of binding her arms behind her back. She goes, hold on one moment. And there's a flash as she holds a dagger up to this woman's face, and she says, all of you, human form. And she just kind of, and again you hear the popping and cracking of bones and these snarls as she transforms from this hybrid form with these rat-like features. And as she changes, you notice, Tira, that the ropes are on her wrists differently. Marliza was wanting them to be tighter. You can tell.
So I would like zip it like tighter
Yeah.
as she's kind of shrinking.
The were-rats are they look like they have this look of people that spend a lot of time scurrying in the dirt and shadows. They're dirty. Their hair is unkempt. And even in their human forms, particularly the woman, her eyes are just constantly shifting as she's looking around at all of you and looking past. She just has that look of somebody who is always looking for the way out. But you get them all tied up, and they help you load them into the wagon and escort you with your horses and your wagon, and all of you through the gate and into the Black Gate area, which also is familiar to you as you are heading to the warehouse that you all raided and ultimately gave over to the Amber Dunes.
Well, before we head out, Asaria will break concentration on Hunter's Mark and cast Pass Without a Trace.
Nice.
Okay. So
it gives us a little bit more.
How many people can you affect with that? It's 10, isn't it?
It's a radius.
Oh, it's a radius. Okay, yeah,
yep.
that's right. 30 feet?
Yep. So
okay, yeah, so...
anyone within 30 feet of me gets plus 10 to their stealth checks.
I would say then that all of you, as you're moving through, you just sort of Assassin's Creed style, you just manage to blend into the flow. And Marliza is guiding you and just sort of guides you, Doc, to drive the wagon into this flow of these other wagons, and you just blend in perfectly. The guards barely take notice as you pass through the gate into Black Gate. As you're moving through this area where there's all these warehouses and some of the various houses where people live, you see the warehouse that you're heading towards, and it's already it looks different. It looks like they've repaired some of the windows, they've cleaned it up a bit, and as you approach, Theron jumps out of this group and moves towards the warehouse and opens up a sliding door and guides your whole group inside. As soon as you enter the warehouse, it's almost like a completely different warehouse. Things are neat and orderly. There's at least 5 times as many boxes and crates of goods and stuff in here as was here when you liberated it from the were-rats. But you also notice that as your wagon is driven in here and the doors quickly close behind you, there is a carriage in here, and another wagon. There's 4 horses hitched up to the carriage. There's 2 horses hitched to the wagon, and there are several crates that are being staged. It looks like somebody's getting ready to go somewhere.
And I would kind of, Tira would kind of volunteer. So how many, we brought these were-rats with us, I assume?
Yeah, yep.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the 4 of them with you.
Yep.
Tira would sort of like grab one from somebody else and look sort of at either Marliza or one of the others and be like, where should we put these people?
As you say that, you hear a voice from... Now, just as a reminder, this warehouse is about 60 feet across and about 100 feet deep, and there was these stairs leading up the left side, and the back half had a mezzanine, and there was a crane up top. And then
died here.
In the back right corner was where the offices were located, and it's from under the mezzanine towards this office, which that whole right side is where this carriage and the wagon and stuff is. You hear a voice. It is a woman's voice, but it is resonant, a little bit husky, as you hear this voice say, "What you choose to do with them is entirely up to you." And you see a figure. What at first appears to be a very tall woman emerging from the shadows. She's got very dusky skin, has a sort of Mediterranean look about her. Her hair is all tied up and under an ornate headdress. She wears jewelry around her neck and is wearing a simple sleeveless, not really a vest, but sort of like a tunic. But where it comes down to her waist, as she emerges from the shadow, you see that from the waist down, she has the powerful, muscular body of a lion.
Ah, okay. Oh.
As she steps forward almost silently on 4 massive paws.
Oof.
And
What a badass. Hashtag
Yep.
feminism. Hashtag scribes and scrolls. Sorry.
she looks
Hashtag traps. Let's go.
she looks at you all and wow. Thank you, Hawkmere, and thank you everybody who is adding to the hype train, or trying to get the hype train started. Whatever's going on there, we appreciate it.
Choo choo.
As whoops. Hold on, I'm gonna get this bonus in there. She looks at all of you as she steps in, and with this form that she has, she stands a little bit taller than Tira. And I would actually say she stands almost as tall as you do. As you do, Doc, because of her form. And she says, It is a great day, and this unexpected pleasure that I get to meet all of you. For it is to all of you that I owe the fact that I am here. It is a pleasure to meet all of you. My name is Nadalia Emberdune.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Heck yeah.
I forgot about her. Oh.
Nope.
Nadalia was
The one that was supposedly dead, right?
the Lamia that was dead, that they were, the Amberdunes were raising money to be able to afford to have her resurrected.
Yes.
I remember now.
Remember, because we were all giving some gold to help out, and that was imperative for why they were selling the books.
Yep. And you gave over the warehouse and the contents so they could sell it, and apparently they've done very well for themselves in the in the almost month since you were here.
Awesome.
Cool.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Not to sound brash, but you're back from the dead.
It is because of the dedication of my family. And she indicates around to the rest of the Amberdunes. And, as I am told, because of your help, that I am able to be here once again with my pack.
What's it like being dead? I have no charisma.
Vaughn. Oh my God.
It's probably not the conversation we want to have.
Doc said it's like being asleep, and
Why don't we handle business first, and then we can get into that.
Like I said,
Vaughn.
first order of business. Where do you
Yeah.
want these people?
She smiles at you, Vorn. The mysteries of death are something that are best discussed in the comfort and with the luxury of time. Something we do not have at present. Yes. As I said, what to do with these is entirely up to you. They have a bit of a vendetta against you. Isn't that right, Moisha? She says as she turns to the woman. And she doesn't answer. She just snarls.
Well, you may as well start talking now.
Yeah, I have
We're not
lots
going
of
to get
questions.
anywhere.
I have lots of questions, and I have an axe, and you have 10 fingers.
Oh my god. Oh. Wow. Coming in at a 10.
And I snap, and I'm like, there's something. Vorn feels something internally that's making him a little more assertive and aggressive. And he kind of like tempers it down, and he's like, okay, how do you guys want to get answers? He takes a deep breath and looks around the room.
We could try asking him first.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's
And I
ask
can't-
first.
I would like shake the one that I'm holding. I'm like, knowing full well that he's standing right there.
Go ahead and make intimidation check, either Vorn and advantage, or Tira and Vorn, you can each do so separately.
I'm gonna let Ricky
Wow.
do this with advantage.
While they're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and cast Detect Thoughts on them as well.
On who? The woman?
Yes.
The were-rat woman?
Yes.
Alright, that's a
As
wisdom
always.
save.
Yeah, Wisdom 14.
What does it cost to re-roll that?
Rerolls
3.
are 3.
Mm-hmm.
How many do we have?
41.
41.
Because
Oh,
of the awesome
yeah, we're
community.
rolling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Automatic.
we're good.
Good
Yeah,
call.
let's burn it all down. Yeah.
So that
Um,
puts us at...
Sarah's going to take a moment and try to memorize the faces
There
of
we go.
these
That's much
individuals
better.
if she can.
Okay. Yeah.
So my second re-roll, you can see it there. It's 19.
Okay.
I'm just playing good cop, bad cop.
So-
we picked up on that real quick.
So as you're starting to put the heat on Mizya, you hear on the surface, you start to hear these, they're very quick, rapid fire thoughts darting from one thing to the other. I know this place. If I can get away, if I can just get free, I can get down. No, I don't care about the others. They can fend for themselves. No, I want to kill them. They killed the Moshika. I will get my revenge for this. Revenge can wait. And it's just these constant, like she's warring with herself. Are you gonna delve deeper?
Yeah, how do you want to do that? Because yeah, with each, I mean, it's normally it's turn based. So, but yes, I'm going to continue to delve.
So, as you delve into below those surface thoughts, you start to see that Mushika, who within her thoughts you recognize is the were-rat that attacked you when you were first on your way to Baldur's Gate with some giant rats and you killed them, and Mushika is her brother.
Wow.
And they were, this warehouse was Mushika's, and he was in the process of setting it up, and the two of them were in constant disagreement about how best to do it. She wanted to be more careful. He wanted to expand rapidly and was planning to infect as many people as possible with becoming were-rats to add them to their group, where you get the sense delving in that she is much more careful about who she selects. Looking very clearly at this large brute of a were-rat, that ultimately, though, her idea is that she just wants to expand their reach and grab a foothold in the underworld in Baldur's Gate.
I think.
Go ahead.
Well, so I figure I'm sitting back away from the group a little bit, and I've got my quill out, and I'm just scratching notes in a notebook of what I'm picking up. I'm not going to say anything, but in like breaks in the action, I will probably pass the notes to whoever's closest to me of what I'm picking up on.
What are you doing, Tira and Vorn, as you are beginning to put the heat on them? Keeping in mind that your tactics with that roll are working. You're intimidating them.
I would imagine I would kind of like crunch my fingers like right into this soft part and just sort of like push them down and like kind of like I'm preparing them for whatever Vorn has ready and waiting. And then I just kind of stand there and I just like with my hand right where it is, just holding them still.
So Vorn looks over at Tira and does this like we're doing bad cop, and winks and pulls out his hatchet. Pulls out one of his throwing hatchets.
Oh my God.
And
I would also wink.
And he goes, typically these hatchets are very sharp, can slice very clean through something. But I've been using them a lot lately. So it's gonna hurt a lot more to take a finger off. As he pulls one out and just kind of like tosses it in the air and catches it, in this in a very casual way. And
we should.
I'm not good at charisma, so I can't ask questions. So you could do that.
I would probably just be like, "Now he's he's ready for this. His blood's up, and I know how he gets. Why don't you tell us? Are you ever planning on coming here again, or could you leave town?" Start over.
Why did you attack us? He interrupts.
As they're doing, as Tira and Vorn are doing this, Mizya, you hear her thoughts start to shift as she's shifting from fear and confusion, trying to come up with, she's just going through rapid fire, trying to come up with an excuse, a reason, anything, but she's also like legitimately terrified of Vorn.
Yes.
And she briefly she glances at you, Mizya, but then her eyes shift around. She knows somebody's digging into her brain, but there's so many people around here, and she failed her intelligence check, so she can't stop you. As she looks at you, Vorn, and Tira, and she's, I don't know which one of you to answer. I don't know who's in
Talk to
charge.
him.
I think it's you. Yes, what? Who? What?
Me.
Talk
Look at me.
to him.
Right here, me. Eyes. I have the axe. Listen.
This was my family's warehouse. Until you killed my brother. And you killed the rest of our pack.
They attacked us in the night. What'd you expect us to do?
I didn't say whether it was right or wrong. I just said what you did and why I was here. We saw you and I could not believe my luck. I had seen you a few weeks ago when you left Baldur's Gate, and I thought I would never see you again. But when I saw you in the city again, I had to take a chance.
And that's why you attacked us.
You killed my brother. What did you expect?
I understand.
If somebody killed your girlfriend here, what would you expect?
Tira would like crunch into this person's like collarbone and be like, just answer his questions.
You see Nadalia, her lower body, the lion form, just sort of sits back on its haunches and then lowers down with, yep, exactly. The paws just cross over each other, and her human arms are just folded as she's just watching intently to see how this plays out.
Vorn looks directly into the eyes of her and he says, I understand vendettas, but you gotta know, in our line of work, it's never personal. And he slams the hatchet down in between her thumb and her finger, her index finger. Just like he doesn't sever a finger. And he goes, consider this a courtesy. We're squared. And his eyes flash red for a quick second as he looks at her in her eyes.
If the cross shot, the opposite shot, Tira like has been kind of keeping her face sort of crunched, and for just a second it falters when she sees this side of Vorn, which is a new side of Vorn.
Mizya.
Who's been having dreams?
Yeah, something's happening.
Mizya,
God damn.
You feel the thought shift, and for a moment, her eyes dart over to the big brute, with his severed hand, and she thinks for a moment she's about to be like him, and then she quickly looks at Vorn and says, If you are going to let us go, we will move out of this area. We'll move to another quarter of the city. And we will leave you and them alone. And underneath, you get the sense, Mizya, that she's telling the truth for now. She has every intention of doing what she says, but already in the subconscious part of her mind, ideas are forming on how she can look for ways to play the long game, as it were.
So I will kind of step forward and turn to our host, who I've forgotten their name already, but Nadalia. Yes. She's telling the truth for now, but she's already plotting to get around the agreement.
She immediately looks at you, and you feel her pushing back against your mind probe, but she's not strong enough to push you out.
Yes, I can feel you fighting me, but you're not strong enough, so your lies are no good here.
Make an intimidation check at advantage.
Yeah. Jesus.
The 21.
Yes, let's go.
Oh my God.
I rolled a
Are
die
we the
just
bad
to,
guys?
I rolled a die just to see what would happen, and
Have
Are
you
we wearing
met
all
me?
black with little eagles like this on the side of our shoulders?
Are we the baddies?
Seriously, Asterius having that thought. I go away for a week and y'all be
I kind of
doing this.
I kind of like look around. You would, if Asteria happens to make eye contact with Tira, she looks very unsure as well.
Asteria
right
looks
now.
very uncomfortable with all of this. She
Mizya.
looks very uncomfortable.
the last thought you get as you say that, and the duration of your spell sort of fizzles out, is those subconscious machinations dissolve.
Ooh.
And all she's thinking is, I will agree to whatever. I just want to live. And she says that, whatever it is that you want, and
Be sure of that, because the next time I see you with a blade raised against me or my friends, you will surely meet your brother.
I believe you.
I would let her go.
Vorn turns around and walks out of the room like someone who didn't get to have his last cookie, or a child who didn't get to have his cookie before going to bed.
Well, you're sort of standing in this big open warehouse.
Oh, well, then I'm going to walk into a corner
Okay.
and look around for an exit. And
So-
move in
I've
the
been so
darkness.
bad.
She kind of looks at you, Tira, as Vorn walks away, and she's glancing nervously between Vorn and Mizya now.
Well,
You will let us go,
you
then.
heard him.
She's
I would leave before they change their mind.
she's
And
holding up her...
I pull out a dagger and I cut the rope.
Okay. So you free all 4 of the were-rats?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
Oh god, I want to say something so vulgar. I want to say, go and enjoy your dung to the rare rats.
Say it in Orcish, then it's fine.
Okay, I'll say it in Orcish. Shock flock, flock. Night.
Amazing.
And my eyes flash a little bit of red as they walk out.
I kinda like
Even the big brute of a were-rat kind of looks at you sideways and moves very quickly for the exit.
yeah, no shit. Good.
And all 4 were-rats leave.
As they leave, as they're out the door, I kind of turn to the group. Well, wasn't that fun?
No, what the fuck?
Oh, I had quite
Vorn,
a good time.
Vorn, I gotta roll a willpower check here. I'm tripping.
What? We weren't going to hurt them, but we didn't need to let them know that.
Vorn knows that he was going to hurt them.
Does Vorn say that?
No.
Okay.
That's
Hold on,
what
should I
he
roll a
knows.
charisma check to check that? Should I say that out loud? My charisma
No.
sucks.
That's
don't-
entirely
Vorn would
up
just
to
be
you.
like, I was.
It's up to you. I don't think you necessarily
Alright.
have to roll for that. That would be something.
No, that's
Would
entirely
Vorn
up
say
to
that,
you.
wouldn't he?
Okay. Vorn takes a breath and he sees the axe in the table, or right, where he threatened to cleave off fingers. And you know that feeling you get just before you pass out, where you just before you throw up?
Hmm.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so Vorn feels that feeling and looks for the nearest door and tries to run outside to get some fresh air. And
So,
yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for now.
what the actual fuck? I've heard of the
well-
phrase, revving up to 100 horses. Y'all started with 100 horses.
We don't have a lot of time, Miss Area. If Vaughn's his own man, he's gonna do what he's gonna do.
Hell yeah.
And you would see that even though Tira is saying this, she still looks really conflicted.
Doc,
She would just sort of go sit on like the steps.
Doc,
Doesn't sit right with me.
where you're standing, Doc, Zan, who is the oldest member of the group, is sort of standing over by a crate where he's kind of had his hands like where he was putting the last couple books into a crate and gonna move the lid over it, and he's watched this whole exchange, and he just looks over at you, Doc, and he says, I don't remember your friends being so aggressive last time you were here.
Yeah.
No, they have problems.
Ah! They've seen some shit.
Oh.
Nadalia rises to her feet and kind of takes a step, padding closer to you, Assyria, and her tail sort of swishes, and she kind of positions herself where she's standing near Soren, kind of the way animals group together.
Mhm.
How would Soren react to that, do you think?
I think Soren would literally sit there, but if you've seen that like dog comic or anime scene where the dog's just sitting there, but the eyes are really big and looking very weird. Like, but I think you would sit and be fine.
Okay.
I think at this point he's used to seeing a lot of weird shit. I think so.
She just looks at all of you and then says, she kind of looks at where Vorn walks out the door and looks over at you, Tira. Well, that could have played out in any number of ways. This was a bit surprising, but so be it.
Apologies for that. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Tara, you sure Vaughn's all right?
Tira would sort of sigh and just kind of shrug and stand up and put her sword back on her back, and she was like, I'll go check on him. And she would also leave the warehouse. So the same way he went to try to find him.
All right. She kind of looks over at Mizya and Doc and Assyria. Well, here we are at our first meeting, and already 2 of my guests have walked out on me.
They'll be back.
She just kind of chuckles softly. Well, we don't have a lot of time, as you can tell. We are preparing
Right.
to leave.
Where are you headed next?
We are heading to Amn, where we are from originally. It is our intention to take back my palace, where I was killed. But I wanted to meet you, since this opportunity presented itself. In addition to taking back my palace and bringing the Amber Dunes to the glory as a pack that they are intended for, we are expanding this, and she kind of gestures around, this operation that has presented itself before us. We are beginning a new business. The Amber Dunes Merchant Alliance. I am happy to say, the Amber Dune Pack, wherever and whenever, if they are able, will be at your assistance. And you will never pay full price at an Amber Dune merchant store.
Awesome.
That's
But
good to
we
hear.
have some important business to attend to and a long travel ahead of us. Would you like to say goodbye to Corvola before we leave?
That would be wonderful.
She motions to you and she kind of looks at you, Mizya and Doc. If you follow, she gestures as she turns to walk towards the office.
Assyria will follow suit.
She walks towards the office and she's walking past this sort of nice looking carriage, and behind it, kind of tucked under the mezzanine, is this wagon, and with 2 horses, and then you got to move around that to get towards the office. And she stops just outside the office and she looks over at Rama, who is one of the Amber Dunes, larger human form right now, who was just loading a couple more crates into this wagon. And she just kind of nods at him, and he leans down and he pulls back a tarp from a long crate and pulls the lid open, and Corvala's body is lying in state inside this crate. She was attacked About 10 days after you were here last. And she was killed. In the same way and with the same dedication that her and my pack sought to have me resurrected. I will return the favor to Korvala. She is lying in gentle repose until we can get home.
Do you know who's responsible?
Rama looks down and says, "It was a human man calling himself Cain. He came here as a friend, but proved to be very deceitful, and when Korvala confronted him, he attacked her."
I look at Assyria and just that the briefest, kind of like fucking this guy again.
Yeah,
Look.
you
Fucking this guy. I see this little so-and-so.
you see from the moment that Carvella's body has been unveiled that Assyria has gone completely pale and stiff as a board. But at the sound of the description kind of permeating through this space, it's like an electrical charge goes off, and I think actually even like a little bit of her hair would bristle slightly with just energy that just kind of took off.
Your
But our
hackles are raised.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Well,
Doc is going to lean into the Lamia. And he's going to say, that could be true, but it doesn't react well to what I know with the human man that I would describe as Cain. Would you be so kind as to allow me to do a brief understanding of her wounds so that I may better know how she died? I'm quite an expert in a lot of things, but particularly this.
Rama starts to protest. I don't think this is... And Nadalia holds her hand up, and he immediately stops talking. She just gestures like this, and he just... I will allow this.
So Doc is going to go into his bag, and he's going to gently pat himself on the shoulder, and he's going to say, "You can do it." And then he's going to use 3 tomes. And he's going to gently take what looks to be a chopstick. It's a small wooden probe, and he's going to gently evaluate her clothing and her wounds in particular to see the damage that they caused. And as he does that, he flashes back, and all he can see is his hands dripping with blood. Okay. So I rolled pretty well. With the advantage and the guidance and the knowledge from a past life, that's an investigation of 33.
Oh my god! Man.
So, Doc, as a expert level Sword Coast CSI here, you sort of as you begin inspecting, looking over Rama standing very close, watching over you, but staying out of your way. Nadalia stands at the foot of the wagon, and She has one arm folded, and she's just kind of watching what you're doing with interest. You start looking at different things on her clothing and her body, looking for bruise marks, other wounds, and in a very like CSI way, like there's suddenly this zoom into a wound, and you almost see in you kind of put the investigation together in this sort of what if scenario of the Ember Dunes reluctantly, some of them maybe being reluctant from what you know of them, but Corvala extending her generosity to Kane, who presents himself as a friend, to be able to get this close. You can see from the nature of the wounds that there doesn't appear to be any defensive wounds. And there's not a lot of like blunt force trauma or anything like that. You get the sense that he probably was able to get her away from the others, possibly in her office. And you see that he probably grabbed her from behind. There's bruising on her wrist, that he pinned her arm, and you see on the side of her neck, you find a puncture wound. And you notice that it's the puncture wound is the area that has the most trauma, because it looks like he jabbed something into her neck, very small, like a needle. But then she tried to fight, and it caused a tear. And from the blood on her clothes and the wound, from there she bled out.
Doc is going to look more deeply into the wound. He's going to withdraw from his satchel some litmus paper, and he's going to attempt to dab the wound to see if he can tell what might have been either. Before I do that, can I tell whether something was injected or removed?
I would say that is almost impossible to tell
Okay.
from the nature of any sort of puncture like that. You can't tell
You
if
would need
something
a
was.
toxicology report.
Yeah. Yeah, and the lab's backed up. It's going to take weeks for a tox screen to come back. No,
We'll get to work.
You do know that it was a puncture, but you can't tell the nature of whether something was inserted or withdrawn.
All right. Well, in that case, Doc is going to remove the litmus paper, and he's going to gently dab the wound internally, and he's going to put it in a culture and see how it reacts over time, and he'll do some tests on it. Not now, but later.
Sure.
With that, I'll say this. With that 33 investigation and you getting so close to this wound in particular, as you're going into Daub, you notice a small glint of metal.
Doc is going to withdraw tweezers from his alchemist kit, and he's going to gently remove it.
You pull out a length of about 2 centimeters of a middle gauge needle, the kind that would be used for withdrawing blood. And that is where we are going to take our break, because it is 9:16. So we are going to take about a 10-minute break from this episode of Candlekeep CSI.
Hey Jake.
It's really hard to
Jake.
defend this shit.
I know what you're going to say, Dwight. I'm about to announce it. But thank you. We are going to take about a 10-minute break. While we are on break, I am going to kick off a giveaway for one of the new calendar of Harptos adventure journals that I published. The link is right there for that. I'm going to see if I remember how to do this. It's been a while since I've kicked off a raffle.
And a while.
And there it
Been a while.
goes. Hopefully that'll work properly. I'll stick around, make sure it's working like it's supposed to, and we'll tweak it. But go ahead, exclamation point, join in on that. We will see you back here in about 10 minutes.
Gary, you and I are more like than you.
I hate it here.
We're back,
I'm taking
and
a nap.
we're back, and congratulations to Smokebeard, who has won a copy of the Calendar of Harptos Adventure Journal. Smokebeard, send me an email at miniterraindomain@gmail.com, and we'll get that sent out to you after the stream tonight. All right.
Question about Smokebeard: is his beard composed of smoke, or does his beard smell like smoke?
I think it's a little
Wow.
bit of both. I
Wow.
picture him kind of like Blackbeard with the
Fuses?
With the
the fuses in his beard, just
Yes.
Okay.
as an intimidation tactic.
Yes.
All right. So as we come back, we are shifting the scene to the exterior of the warehouse, just as Tira comes out the door and is looking for Vorn. Vorn, where have you gone when you left the warehouse?
Vorn is about maybe 30, 40 paces, not too far away from the warehouse, and he's staring into the night sky. Is it cloudy or is it clear?
It's mid-afternoon.
Oh shit. Well, then that changes everything. Damn. Okay, well, never mind. Vorn is staring into the sun with his eyes water. No, I'm joking. No, Vorn is outside, and he is sitting on a stump, and he's getting up from the stump, and then he sits back down on the stump, then he gets up from the stump and sits back on the stump, like back and forth. That kind of walking around, like that nervous energy that doesn't have anywhere to exert itself out of.
I would go over kind of slowly, and I would just sit on the stump, and I would just kind of not say anything right away. I would just kind of sit just to kind of be there. And I would just look at him.
Everyone kind of senses the presence of someone coming into his area. He looks over at Tira, and he kind of like does like this, you look over your shoulder, but you don't directly look at someone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't feel like myself, but I feel more like myself than I ever have before. The killing, the dragon, the worm. It feels I like it.
Tira would just kind of nod. And she would just sort of like gesture next to herself on the log and kind of pat next to her.
I
Kinda
wanted to kill her today for hurting everyone, for hurting Doc, for attacking us. And he turns and looks at Tira, and I don't know why.
I think you do know why, Vaughn. You wanted to kill her for attacking us and trying to hurt us. There's nothing wrong with that.
Tira, it's deeper.
And Tira just looks confused.
I feel a calling.
What do you mean? Calling?
Have you felt your blade bite into someone's flesh? And when the life leaves out of them, you feel a vigor.
Sometimes.
It's more. I look into the stars. I look into the night. When you look up on a clear sky in the evening, can you see the stars still?
Yeah, of course I can. Can't you?
I can't, Tira.
And at this point, has Vorn sat down or has he remained standing?
Vorn is he's standing,
Okay.
but he needs to sit down.
So would he sit down or would he in that moment?
Vorn looks at Tira and he says to her, I'm losing myself and I like it.
And at this point, Tira would kind of shake her head and just say, Vaughn, that's your blood is up. You're not thinking straight. You, Vaughn, you are yourself. I don't know anybody who would think about this kind of stuff as much as you. You are who you are. If you feel anger or rage when you fight, that's just a fight. If I was damned every time I did that, I'd be in the hells long before now. And I kind of at this point would get very, very close to Vorn. I would like put my hand on his like his wrist, and I'd be just like, you are a good person, and killing people who try to hurt your friends doesn't change that.
Vorn fears that quiver in his heart. You know that feel when you feel you're nervous, but you feel vulnerable. And he looks at Tira dead in her eyes and he goes, thank you. And you like his posture relaxes as if someone who takes an exhale and relaxes his shoulders and his muscles relax. And he goes, I just don't know if I'm strong enough. I've never known if I've been strong enough. And he's not talking about brute strength. He's talking about internal strength and personal strength and character strength. And it touches to an insecurity he's felt his whole life. He kind of just like lets his hand rest at the side and he goes, and he looks up at Tira and makes eye contact and he goes, I feel so alone.
And at this point, Tira would just kind of shake her head. And I imagine Vorn has, the direct eye contact has been getting more and more shaky, and she would put her hand on Vorn's cheek and would just say, you're not. And then she would lean in and kiss him.
Oh shit. And Vorn's mind like just raptures in this moment that seems like an eternity, but a second until Tira pulls away her lips and the world comes back into focus.
And I would just put my hand on his chest and I'd be like, and you never will be.
Okay,
We should get
Jake,
back
you
to the
take over.
others. We should get back. They'll miss us.
Okay.
Yeah.
People will say we're in love.
Yeah.
So do you?
Vorn goes like, and then does his nervousy, fidgety, nerdy shit that he does when his pouch and his
Adorable.
goggles.
When the two of you go back
look at
in,
me.
do you go in together, or does one of you wait behind a few moments for the other one so you don't look like you?
I
in
imagine
together?
Tira would go back in, and then Vorn, they were walking together, and Tira would be like, "Don't walk in with me."
Yeah, Vorn's like, yeah, right, okay.
He's just flustered. Poor guy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't have the charisma in real life or in D&D to roll this.
As you walk in, you notice that the others are back in further into the warehouse, the mezzanine. Tira, as you walk in, you see Marliza standing halfway up the stairs next to a window that looks outside, and she's just got a sly smile looking at you.
Mm.
Like,
I just kind of give her a dirty look, and I just kind of like keep walking. I'm like, well, we looks like you're packing to go somewhere. You are leaving town, or?
Marliza comes down the steps and still kind of smiling at you, and then when you don't really say much of anything else, she just says, yes, most of us are heading to Nidalia and the others are over there by the office. We are going to help Nidalia take back our palace.
Good.
Back at the wagon.
Vorn is outside, like with a sense of clarity, but
So you're still
more
outside.
confusion. Yeah, I am sitting there like,
Okay.
yeah.
Vorn. You turn and kind of look at where Tira walked into the warehouse, and when you look away, you hear a sound behind you in the space between two buildings. It's that subtle sound of a rustle of cloth and of a foot just scuffing on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
Vorn turns towards the sound.
You turn around, and about 20 feet away from you is a figure wearing a smoky gray cloak, not robes, but cloak, pulled up around them, and they have a hood obscuring their head and part of their eyes. They're about 5.5 feet tall. And as you turn, they reach up with pale hands and pull the hood back, revealing long white hair, pale ash gray skin. You can see the pointed elven ears of a Shatterkai. But that is not what is their most prominent feature. As you notice that their lips are sewn shut with silver wire.
Jesus
They hold up
and-
a hand to you. What?
Mhm.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead. You can respond.
No, the way that this is going to be very vulgar, but the way that you feel like when you are like all of a sudden you have to like hold your piss, you're like, what?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's a hard shift.
Oh, you're talking.
The
Okay, I know what you
feeling
mean.
you're
Yeah.
feeling, and yeah, sorry, my lack of metaphors describe it as like this.
And yet we all know what
Oh,
you're
yeah.
talking about, so it's working well.
100%. That's a visceral response.
Yeah, and seeing the sewn lips and seeing I look at the lips and I see the scar tissue around each incision of the sewn lips and the threads, and I look at damn, do I dare look at the eyes of this creature? Yeah, I have to.
Oh.
I
The
can't
eyes
help it.
are almost like pools of ink with
Jesus Christ.
almost like mica powder in them. There's this sort of swirling motion happening in these dark eyes as they look at you.
Yeah, Vorm's emotions slam into a concrete wall, and he looks at he's from one feeling of comfort, calm, a twinge of all the other emotions that come with what just happened, to a slamming stark into the reality. And Vorn, when I look into the eyes of this person, Vorn can barely whisper. The way you see, like, if you were in your living room at 3 a.m. to get a cup of water because you had to in the middle of the night and you saw a ghost in your living room, Vorn is that feeling, and he's like, he can barely say, and he reaches and he's reaching, he's lost for words as he's trying to thumb for a axe or a glaive or something, and he's just filled with like a fierce sense of fear, and he takes a posture and he puts his left hand out as his right hand reaches back for a weapon, and he goes, "Who are you? What do you want?" And he barely can get that out without stuttering, stammering.
Make a charisma saving throw.
I'm going to fail that.
No, you won't. Roll with advantage. Use a tome.
Yeah.
Use one tome to roll with advantage. Oh, too late. Fuck.
Damn. You saw it.
I don't have. That's weird. For some reason I'm not seeing the game log. Okay. Oh, there you go.
Oh, no.
I
Okay,
see what
hold
you
on.
rolled.
How many do we have? 38. I'm gonna re-roll that. If that-
36.
Can I do that?
But you should. Yes.
So,
Bring us to
okay.
33. Hashtag math.
Okay.
All right. So
Can I-
33 is left.
Do it.
And then what do I need to do an advantage? So I need to add extra.
Well, this
One
is a
more.
re-roll rather than advantage.
Okay.
Unless you want to re-roll that at
Re-roll with
advantage, that'll be
advantage.
4 tomes
So that would
total
be
to do that.
32 we'd be down to, but that's still a lot. I would do that
Yeah,
if I were
let's
you.
go.
This is
All
important.
right. So
Let's
roll
do
with
that.
advantage.
Okay.
See, Gary, this is how I get around spending them myself. I'm just the devil on Ricky's shoulder, making
we
him
go.
spend them.
Somehow I got a 12.
Okay, that's still a fail.
My God.
As this Shatterkai man holds his hand up, you feel your fears abate a bit as he has cast calm emotions on you.
Oh. Okay.
And you hear in your mind a voice, as his mouth does not move for obvious reasons.
Jesus Christ.
Vonuk, your fears are warranted, but I do not want you to fear me right now. Stay your blade. It is not time for us to fight. Not today.
Vorn deeply removes his right hand, his dominant hand, from his blade, and he's like, I do know BJJ. And he puts his hands out in front of him. Well, hold on. Grappling. D&D grappling. And he puts his hands out in front of him and he goes, okay. Speak.
My name is Caligextia, and I am one of the Silver Talons. I've been watching you. You and your friends. We are, for now, watching over you. This place, these people, have been affected by the renegade calling himself Cain Mulgrim.
What do you mean by
Cain is not.
infected?
Cain is not his name. His given name. Is Torin Frostheart.
Hold on. Are you trying? And as Vorn is overlooking the fact that he is not speaking without opening his mouth and his lips are sewn shut, and
That's the least weird part of this situation.
trying to ignore that horror. Did you say Torin?
Yes. He is the brother of your friend, Tira Frostheart. He is in service to Ravonna Shadowheart, the leader of the Sisters of Selûne.
First off, why should I believe you? And second, who are the Sisters of what?
You would recognize the name Selûne as the goddess of the moon, and it is also often what the moon is called.
But I still say incredulous, like, you know, that doubt is still like it's a what? Like, that doesn't make sense.
There are things happening.
There's
in
a
this...
why underneath that current.
Okay.
You know,
There are things happening in this world and the worlds adjacent to it that are beyond you, but they grow ever closer. You yourself spoke to Tira just now about your fears, about your anger. You know what is driving you. You know what lingers just below the surface.
the Blood Axe.
Do you know
Deity.
who is behind that?
Sorry.
Who's behind it?
That is something you are going to have to seek for yourself. When they are ready,
I don't.
You will know.
And the way that Luke Skywalker knew that Darth Vader was his father is the way that he responds. And he's like, no, you lie.
Keep in mind you are under a calm emotion spell.
Okay.
So right now for the moment, any anger you're feeling is being against your will is being pushed down. It's being suppressed. So you are not able to currently get angry or wildly upset at the moment.
Okay.
Listen carefully.
Okay.
The Sisters of Seluna, led by Ravonna Shadowheart, is a dangerous organization. Their motivations are misguided. They are behind the mark of the Sire. For this reason, you should be careful putting your trust in anyone associated with Ravonna Shadowheart, or with the Briar Hearts, the Frost Hearts. Be careful.
Why are you telling me? Why not?
He looks in the direction that Tira walked.
Mhm.
You find yourself already growing dangerously close to a Frost Heart. This is a friendly warning, Vornok. I hope that we can remain as civil.
Vaughn feels a this, you know how you feel when you have sleep paralysis and there's a instinct to push and pull but you can't. That's what's beneath the surface because of the spell.
Actually, as you're struggling with this, you, in that same way that you're feeling when you feel sleep paralysis sort of taking over your body, you have that moment where you put all of your concentration into trying to move one arm or leg, and finally, in reality, your arm sort of falls off the edge of the bed and it jolts you awake. You break through as the spell times out. You are no longer under calm emotions.
Tira. She's important to me.
I can see that.
What are you saying I do?
I'm not saying you do anything. I am only warning you to be cautious. You have already seen what the one who calls himself Cain is capable of. And even the Silver Talons are beginning to doubt that he is someone who can be reliably judged. He is currently unaccounted for. If Shadowheart loses her grip on the Frostheart boy, she will turn her attention to Tira. Already, your friend Assyria has been marked. She will have a choice to make.
Yeah.
And so will you.
You come with questions and ambiguities, and Vaughn turns and he's like kind of doesn't turn completely away. How can I know what you say is true? How can I know what you say is true?
There is a shimmering around the edges of this figure as they misty step, and it looks like shadow suddenly, and suddenly he's standing behind you.
Ooh.
And his hands go up immediately to touch your temples. And the moment he touches your temples, you see images of Ravona Shadowheart, a Shatterkai elven woman with dark hair, turning from a window looking out at the moon, holding an ornate looking brooch that looks like a spider, lowering it from just having spoken to it. She turns and walks into a chamber with two other women. And then you see, as the view shifts, and you see the moon in high-speed hyperlapse shifting through its cycles. You see Assyria transforming into a wolf, and you have visions of Assyria transforming into a hybrid form. In this vision, Assyria seems to be rapidly shifting through these three forms of her half-elven form, her wolf form, and this hybrid form. And as she's doing so, it seems as though, picture this sort of like sped up view of as her head's kind of moving in around like this, and the two forms are sort of splitting, like there's a war between her half-elven self and her wolf self. And you see, as this is happening, the view sort of shifts, and you see shadow all around the edges, and you see this figure, Caligextia, standing there, and there are three other Shatterkai standing around him, all of them with their lips sewn shut with silver thread. And they seem to be looming as if watching over you and your group as you're maneuvering through. And just behind them, you see the form of just this massive form, the silhouette of a woman who is shrouded in raven feathers and wearing a crown as she looks down across all of you. And you even see in this vision, you see your sister wielding the blood axe as she cuts down foes, endless foes. And you see as this figure whose name shifts to the foreground of your subconscious as you hear these names of the Sisters of Saloon, and you hear the Silver Talons, and you hear the name of this figure, this deity, the Raven Queen. And there's a sudden, and like a cold mist shadow falls from your shoulders, and you are standing alone outside the warehouse.
Vorn sees the world in a magenta, purple, and red blaze. He falls to his knees, and with the onslaught of the vision, kind of like pukes, and he's overwhelmed by everything. And he realizes that his eyes are both purple and red at the same time, and looks over to the door that is the entranceway to the warehouse. And Vorn's gonna sit there and is it still daytime out? It's still afternoon.
Yeah.
And is the sewn lip figure still there?
Nope, you are standing there alone. You have that feeling in the same way you felt that sleep paralysis sensation. You're having this feeling that you're not entirely sure he was ever there.
Yeah, it's the feeling of when you burst awake from that sleep paralysis and you wake up and you get control of your body and you look around and you see the world around you. As the magenta coloring fades away from the world, Vorn kind of wipes his face from whatever his body was doing naturally from this mind-altering experience. And he looks at the door of the warehouse, takes 2 steps. He pauses as he opens the door. And then he opens the door and sees everyone as they were. I'm not sure what everyone's disposition is.
Yep, everybody is sort of in the... Hold on. We lost Carrie. I'm not sure what happened. Oh, wait, here she comes. I gotta boot my other self out. There we go. Carrie has that look on her face like she accidentally hit a button.
I didn't. My internet sucks. And to be fair, it's the first time in months that's happened. So my record is pretty freaking good. I'm sorry.
That's
of
fine.
Course, at the most high drama part. What did I miss?
Vorn has just entered the warehouse.
Oh, good. Phew.
I look over at Mizya because I know that she can mind probe. And I give them this look that says, them.
I just look at you like, what?
And you know how you like when you go like, dude? Like, how do you say dude?
Dude.
But them? Like,
yeah.
Well, Vaughn, are you okay? Why are you looking at me like that?
And Vaughn presses the look.
And I'll just mimic the look back. Yes.
Could you keep it down? I'm doing science over here.
So, Doc, what are you doing?
Doc is he's going to remove the piece of the syringe. It looks like it's a blood drawing syringe. He's going to gently wrap it in a
evidence bag.
In litmus litmus paper because he is going to do some tests on it later. But he's going to look up at Nadalia and all of the other creatures. Wait, no, they're the werejackals, the amber dunes, and he's going to say, it seems as though she died in a struggle, but if I had to guess, it was accidental. That's not to say that the person who inflicted the wound wasn't responsible for her death, but it was not intended to cause it. It seems as though they were trying to draw blood for some reason or another, and why they were trying to draw blood from the lycanthrope is beyond me. Wish I could remember, but I can't. If as you say, it was Cain Malgrim who inflicted this mortal wound, it surely does not seem like it was his intention, but clearly he wanted something from Corvala, and it was in the form of her blood. Why, I can't say, but he did say when he left that he was looking for others. I don't know what that means exactly, but we know that there's something about lycanthropy, and
It's something with the bloodline.
yes,
And-
yes, something to do with the blood. But why Corvala? How does she play into it? Where is hers the puzzle piece that fits? That's what I don't understand, and it's going to be something that I'll think about. Do you have a history or know where she was from originally, or anything about her family, perhaps?
I have to wonder if it's something more general, Doc. I mean, the information we've gotten so far, it just seems like general, not anyone with lycanthropy has been getting targeted and sought after.
Yes, yes, but it seems as though Kane had access to any of the Amber Dunes, but he chose Corvala for a reason. Perhaps there was no reason beyond he felt that she would be the one least likely to fight him, and therefore submit more easily. But why? Why you would use the jugular? That's what I don't understand. If you're
Sure.
drawing blood, it's not the most ideal place, unless there's some quality of the blood coming directly from the heart that affects whatever lesson they wanted to learn.
Tira,
Yeah, what? What?
we need to talk.
And I kind of like look around at the others and I'm sort of uncomfortable, and Tira's been hearing all of this and like just not making a sound, and she looks around and she's like, here?
Did you just get back from talking?
Didn't you just...
I start to eye them both a little bit suspiciously.
Yeah.
Well,
What-
and Tira
were
would
you
shrug.
talking or were you talking?
Tira would shrug and like cross her arms and be like, just kind of suddenly take on like a very closed posture and just be like, well, talk then.
Where do I start? I care for you. I care for all of us. I look around the room.
I think it's noticeably uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's very awkward. And
Yeah, Tira looks
Vaughn
uncomfortable too.
is trying to piece together everything, because literally there's been a sledgehammer of emotions from all directions.
Well, do you want to
So-
take a moment, Vaughn? Because you look like you're about to be sick.
No, I need to. And Vaughn kind of like puts his hand on the closest wall he can find, and he begins to try to explain his encounter he just had with someone with sewn lips. And it's broken, it's garbled, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And Vaughn does his best to try to explain what he just experienced. And he keeps emphasizing, I don't want secrets between us. Secrets destroyed my tribe, destroyed my sister, destroyed us. And you need to know. And he kind of goes the best he can to regurgitate, to say, this encounter he had with the sewn lips person that spoke in the mind. And, you know, like, and
Would you at any point say would you say Tira Frostheart throughout this story? Would you repeat that name?
No,
Okay, good.
no, I would hold that back. But there would be moments in our conversation where I will look to Tira that insinuates that we need to speak privately.
keeping secrets, but not keeping.
But in a
We're keeping
Vorn-
not keeping
There
secrets
will be
between us
no
two. So fuck off.
secrets. There will be no secrets, but this
secrets.
one.
But this
There will
one.
be no secrets between us.
Oh, jeez.
Meet me at the hill that we're not going to make out on, but we are going to talk about your
Definitely
secrets.
not. No making
Right?
out. Yes.
Right? All in all, but that's what we're doing.
I kind of would like make eyes back that I understand. And I just am sort of listening to Vorn's encounter and be like, I think we should rest here.
Do you want me
before
to
we
give
even
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think we should rest here before even thinking about getting on that boat. It seems like, and I
You
kind of
want me
like
to-
look over at Doc and over at what I now assume is Corvala in that box. I'm like, I think we've all had our fill of action today. And it's probably a good idea to rest before we get on a boat. With God knows who.
Vorn literally takes off all of his weapons and throws it in a corner. And he's like, take a walk with me, Tira.
And I would just sort of nod and I would go.
So Doc is going to, as they're leaving, he's going to look at Nadalia. And he's going to say, you said that it was Cain who used his influence and familiarity to get Corvala alone. But could he have used his influence on anyone, or is it was Corvala chosen on purpose?
As you're sort of asking these questions and puzzling this all out, Nadalia says, Avani, you were there when this Cain Mulgrim came. How is it that he came to get Corvala alone? Avani is a sort of wiry, middle-aged looking man who wears round spectacles and is very quiet. Always, in the time you've known him, he's just kind of keeps to himself. He says, yes, Corvala was extending our hospitality to him, and he seemed personable enough, and he wanted to talk to her about some things, and she invited him back to her office. They were back there for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and Cain came out at that time and said very quickly that he was sorry he couldn't stay and had to leave. I didn't think anything of it until after, I'm sad to say, some time had passed and I had not seen or heard Corvala. That is when I went to check on her, and I am the one who found her.
And there was nothing strange you noted about him? Nothing out of the ordinary that you would have picked up as he left? No blood? Nothing?
No, I did not detect that. I noted he had the scent about him, and Corvala did as well, and I think is why she was extending hospitality to him. We recognized him as a lycanthrope. There is not always this level of trust amongst all were folk, as you have seen. But, as I said, he seemed personable enough, and he just seemed in a hurry when he left. I didn't notice any blood or anything. At the time, I we just didn't understand why he would assassinate Corval.
And Doc is going to shake his head. 10 or 15 minutes, no blood. And he's going to say, and Jake, you can correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding, but the needle went into her jugular, right?
Yep.
Then it was torn apart when she struggled.
Yeah, it looks like it was jammed in, and then she tried to put up a fight, and in the process, broke the needle off, and then she bled out.
Okay. So how long before you went to check on her from the time that Kane left? Did you say? I'm sorry, I was so focused on what I was doing.
It was probably an hour. Having not heard from her, I wanted to check on her and see if they wanted any tea. Corvala likes her afternoon tea.
The one thing that doesn't make sense, and he's gonna tap his glasses. Creatures such as yourself tend to have excellent eyesight, and you're sure you saw no blood on him?
I did not see any blood on him.
And he's going to take his chopstick, and he's going to gesture to the neck. This wound would have caused an impossible amount of blood. There's just no way that he would have been able to escape without you seeing. He would have been covered in it, I'm sorry to say. It's just strange.
I would have noticed if he was covered, and I mean, there was a lot of blood when I found her.
It makes me wonder if there's more to the story than we understand. Is it possible that someone could have slipped past you, someone who was not Kane?
It is highly unlikely. There is only the one entrance into and out of our home, and I was in the front room at the time. I saw Kane leave. Could he have used magic to clean himself before he left?
Yes, of course he could have, but as far as I know, he didn't possess that type of magic. I'm familiar with much of it, and while it's basic, I suspect not. But I could be wrong. There's a first time for everything. Doc is going to he's going to ask to see Corvala's office where she was killed before they Amber Dunes depart.
Nadalia says, absolutely. I was going to offer. You said you would like to rest before you move on. Avani and Zan are staying here to keep an eye on the business and watch over our home and warehouse while we are traveling to An. We are leaving very soon, but you are welcome to use our home to rest, and you may continue your investigation while you are there.
Thank you. I feel as though there's something I'm not seeing. It's like a hill in the distance, but it's covered with fog behind a sunset. It's so clear and yet so far away. I will try and find the answer, but I want you to promise one thing.
What is that?
Don't make any snap judgments about what happened. Because from everything you've told me, there's a lot of things that don't make sense. And I just want to be sure, given we're friends.
She smiles. Friends, I like the sound of that. Continue your investigation. Let San and Navani know what you find, and they will know how to contact me. I would be very interested into whether or not this Kane Mulgrim is somebody we simply misunderstood, or is somebody I will have to rip out his throat.
Oh, yes. Certainly, Kane can be a big dick. But he may not have killed this person. That's all.
Very well. You have the freedom to stay as long as you need, and have full use of our warehouse and our home. We must be getting on the road. We have a very long travel ahead of us. And Ramah begins to, he kind of looks at you like, are you done with Corvala? As he's looking like he wants to put the lid back on, and the rest of them start gathering things up, and you can tell they were pretty much ready to go as they get the move the last couple boxes in, and Inbar, Marliza, Rama, and Theron all take their places, either riding or driving the wagons or carriage, as Nadalia climbs into the carriage. Zan opens the sliding door at the front, allowing them to leave, as the two wagons, the carriage and the... Go ahead.
As the lid is kind of placed on the... You said she was in a barrel?
No, she's basically in a coffin.
Coffin, got it. As the top of the lid is placed on the coffin, Asteria at this point has kind of been just staying quiet, but she'll kneel down and kind of place a hand on the top of the coffin, and in Elvish say, "We'll get you back." And as she lifts her hand, there's a small carving in Paduk wood of a jackal. The underside of this figure has a cutout. So as the cart starts to move, you'll hear a little bit of clinking. In this figure, there is 28 gold pieces that she has placed in there.
Very cool.
And she'll just kind of watch as it rides off.
As the carriage and the wagon head off, and Zan closes the sliding door behind them, we see and hear the two wagons and the horses' hooves. They start heading towards an exterior gate of the Black Gate. And the camera stays here at the warehouse as we see Vorn and Tira once again standing outside the warehouse.
Vorn, when Tira, I imagine that we wait till the moon rises in the evening. Is that okay?
Yeah. We're on a long walk.
Long walk. And what Vorn looks at Tira and sprints off into the distance, and immediately He is translating the Ishni Shon Vok, which is the running through the night ritual of orcs. When it is a quartering, or how can I say, when you court someone and you test their endurance and strength and to see if they're a worthy mate. But we're not going that far. It's just level 1. And Vorn dashes off into the distance at a full-born sprint. His quads are burning with energy and fury. His heart is on fire as he is running through the night. And whether Tyr or not decides to run after him, or
I 100% am running after him. So
because she's raised in orcs,
100%. I would call after him to stop for a second, and then after only a second, I would realize what he's doing, because as we've been walking and the conversation has sort of turned somehow to tradition and stuff like that, that's when he decides to sprint, and then I just frickin' I don't realize what's happening at first, and then I do, and I just frickin' take off after him.
Yeah, and so we dash into just outside the outskirts of the city, where there are tree stumps and obstacles and little boulders to jump over and
parkour
to dash through. Parkour.
100%.
And after about, after Vorn has exhausted himself and comes to a pause across the stream in the evening, he's looking into what he sees as an empty night, whereas a moon stuff, like a moon, and as Tyr catches up and stands next to him, Vorn will say, and he's catching his breath and he's breathing, and he says, the last person I cared for cost me everything. Can I care for you and trust you?
And Tira would stand there and she would kind of you would notice her hands are on her hips as she's breathing hard, and she would her hand shifts to her pouch and squeezes it tightly, and then she just sort of her hand drops and she's just like, of course you can.
And Vorn looks at her and he says, my mother died over the last person I trusted. We will have very hard decisions to make. And I want to know, can I trust you? With the strength that is inside. And he gestures towards his heart and gestures towards hers.
And Tira looks very conflicted for a second. And you would see her hand kind of go back to her pouch. And she would kind of, for a minute, she would hold eye contact with Vorn, and then she would kind of break it. And then she would pull out the apothecary case. And she would take a very particular vial from it. And she would hand it to Vorn and hold on to his hands kind of with it between them. And she would just kind of shake her head and just say, I'm sorry, Vorn. And she would leave the vial in his hands and walk away and leave him there in the forest.
And Vorn stands and stares into a empty star night sky with no moon, with looking for the star constellation that Ursula showed him when he trusted her.
And as you're looking up at the star, searching for that constellation, the camera slowly pans down to the vial in your hand, with blood in it, sealed in wax. There is a label on the bottle that is handwritten that says, Ysurla, Northern Bear Clan, Southwood, the High Moor. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
Oh, God. My heart hurts.
Yes, let's go.
My stomach hurts. I feel like I'm going to puke in real life.
Wow.
You know, I had a loose outline for tonight's session. And I did not know all of the directions that this was going to go. I've had a note for, honestly, I didn't, it wasn't until Ricky, you said that Vorn was staying outside, and I was like, oh, this is the moment Gillespie has been waiting for. I didn't expect it to happen. So you got to meet one of the Silver Talons.
Oh, God.
I blame you, Jake. I blame you.
You're a fucking
for it.
master. You're a Machiavellian bastard.
Yeah, what I didn't say in your vision, Vorn, was that when you saw the Silver Talons and the Sisters of Seluna and the Raven Queen behind them, you didn't see my bearded face behind the Raven Queen pulling all the strings.
Fucking pump.
Right.
Fun fact, for those of you watching, Gary dropped a note in the side chat earlier in the game that said, "How the fuck did I end up being the normal one in this campaign?" And that is reasonable.
That's so true.
Being normal is vastly overrated, and I stand by
Vastly overrated.
I saw very early when there was, I think, sometime in talking to the Were Ravens, and when the Jackal-wares were around, Gary dropped in the chat and in the Twitch chat. I think it was when you guys were saying, "Are we the bad guys?" And Gary was like, I asked one of them, "Have any of you dug up any children's graves?"
No,
so the question,
it's not the graves that Asteria draws the line. It's the
children. It's the children graves. That's fair. Reasonable.
Well, this was another phenomenal session. It was great to it's great to be back after a week off. Wow. We'll see what's going on next week with the rest of the gang back at the house as Gil Grissom investigates the crime scene. That, just as a reminder, it's at this point probably a 10-day or more old, this crime scene, but as apparently Tira and Vorn were on an all-afternoon date.
Yeah. Yep.
Stop.
It was evening by the time we left the warehouse.
No, it wasn't. It was not.
It was a evening workout session.
You all showed up in the middle of the day at
sparring.
Jake made sure to reiterate several times it was afternoon.
No, that's fine. You all decided you wanted to rest. That's fine. There's a lot of other things going on. We'll see what happens.
We'll be back by sundown.
When you say sparring, we say AXEINGG.
AXEINGG.
As an end credit scene, somewhere down on the docks is a redheaded dwarven woman looking at a sundial, tapping her foot impatiently.
God.
Oh yeah, we forgot about that.
No, we didn't.
I didn't.
No, we didn't.
Believe me, Dwight didn't. So,
nope.
Before we go, tomorrow night is over on Talon and Claw is Tales of Dread. Another session of that with Dwight and Gary are both involved in that, and Strike Red Kite is the DM over there, and that's just just keep an eye on that show and that channel. Lots of great stuff coming from that. Thursday is the return of the Dawnbringers. We have I think it's our 8th session in Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Just lots of great stuff going on. Quick reminder, if you haven't already checked it out, at least head on over to this link that I'm dropping in the chat. You can check out my latest publication, the Calendar of Harptos Adventure Journal, over at DM's Guild. And we are going to send all of you over to our friend Persephoroth, who is streaming right now, just chatting. Thank you everybody who tuned in tonight. We greatly appreciate everybody and all the love and support for the channel. Just want to say also, if you're one of those people lurking quietly in the background, we appreciate you all the same, and we hope you enjoy everything here. And a final thank you, as always, to these amazing players, Gary, Jordan, Dwight, Carrie, and Ricky, without whom it would just be me talking to myself for a couple of hours. With that, we are going to end the stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want.
You